thing I would recommend is be yourself and don't try to like follow these fad trends or be someone you're not, because at the end of the day, everything in the dark comes to the light. If you're a faker, people don't like fakers and they're just going to pick up on it pretty quick. And then the last thing is, if you're uncomfortable, whether it be with your appearance, with your voice, or just with your overall editing style or whatever, just accept who you are and put it out there. And over time, as you're editing the video, you'll get used to your voice, you'll get used to how you look, you'll get better with your editing. And
most business advice ignores your family. This podcast doesn't. Welcome to Family Oriented Business Growers. Hey, welcome to all of you bandits and chilies. Today's guest is 25. He has a brand affiliation. He's become an official sales rep for Tucker, even though his business is called Wow Pressure Washing Services, and they like do window cleaning as well, but it's not even in the name. They still took him on anyway, which is that's very nice of them, right? But his strength is really around the way that he's using his social media, which is interesting because he's obviously doing a lot of social media content that relates to being that brand representative or sales rep for Tucker, whilst at the same time threading the needle with that within his local service business. So we're going to talk all about those kinds of things. Cole Blakely, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mark. I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure being on here. I can't wait to get right into it.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Thanks for jumping on. So maybe paint a bit of the picture of like how the business started, where we got up to this point, and what the challenges along the way have been.
So when I was 12 years old, I had some buddies. They were getting an allowance, and they said, "Hey, you should ask your parents if you can get an allowance." So I was like, "Okay, well, I guess it's that simple, right?" So I went home, asked my parents, "Hey, can I have an allowance?" And they said, "Absolutely not. If you want some sort of money, you gotta go out and earn it like everybody else." So my dad, he gave me a couple of options. You could do lawn care, you could do pressure washing, you could do, rake leaves or whatever else. And then the one that stuck out to me was pressure washing, because I had a lot of friends that did the rest of those other options. And I wanted to kind of stand out and be a little different in my friend group. So I chose pressure washing. My dad, he got me a beat up old Troy Belt pressure washer. He taught me how to fix it up. And then we went over to my neighbor's house and he taught me how to, interact with people and how to sell and talk to them and negotiate. And from there, that's where the dream was born. And it's funny because it started out like I wanted the allowance so I can go out and hang out with my buddies after school, and do a little bit more with my time. But it turned out right when I started doing pressure washing, I got that hunger to get better equipment, to get things that are going to make the job, that's going to increase the quality of the work, that's going to make the job go by faster. And from there, all the money I got just kept going back to pressure wash and pressure wash and pressure wash. And then over time, I invested in XJet and started doing like house washes, started learning more about chemicals. So I was able to remove, rust and mineral staining. And I just kept expanding my knowledge. I kept learning from other people in the industry, and I kept getting better and better equipment. And here I am today. I officially launched Wild Pressure Washing Services LLC in June of 2022. It's just me, my mom, my wife, and eventually my 3 kids. And we currently we're brand ambassadors for Cigar City Soft Wash Supply, and we're also official sales rep for Tucker USA.
Yeah, nice. So, before we get into that, like let's go back to the ages of 12 and beyond. Did you have any times with that sort of lemonade stand set up for the business in which because you were young, figuring it out, didn't know what you're doing? Did you have any times where you like broke something, damaged someone's property, had things go really really poorly on the job, or anything like that?
So no, I'm fortunate enough that I didn't have any damages. I didn't damage vegetation, siding, houses. I didn't have water leak through a bad seal of a window. I didn't have really any bad customer interactions. And I think, first of all, the customer interaction I feel like was very smooth because you're not going to go out and start yelling at a 12-year-old kid just trying to make ends meet, or a 15-year-old. You're just going to try to understand like, okay, they're a kid or they're a young teenager. Look, let's just figure this out. But luckily, I never got to that point. So all the customers were pretty forgiving and understanding. That was a
Mm,
kid. So if I would stutter or I was kind of came off timid or anxious, like in my sales pitch, they generally gave me the time of day and said, "Hey, puff your chest out.
yeah.
Try to make some money here. You're good." So a lot of people were very reassuring in my area, and gave me the time of day to grow, never belittled me or anything. And again, no damages to property. I really would like to credit that just to me having so much free time, and I would just go online and read and research, and just learn as much as I could from other people's mistakes. And that's the biggest thing is if you're getting into the industry, whether it be asphalt maintenance, pressure wash, and window cleaning, join these groups on Facebook, go on YouTube, find these communities, and learn from other people's mistakes. Don't shame them for it because that could be you if you don't really yield from, their mistake. Yeah, I guess I was very cautious going into it. The only mistake I really had was I stepped up to, if I remember, it was like a 4 gallon per minute machine, and I had one of them green garden hoses, and it would like every time I would pull the trigger on my surface cleaner, that garden hose would close shut, so I would lose pressure quick, and I just kept walking back and forth to my little trailer. I was like, why is it every time I open the trigger, so I had to turn it off, and I was watching it and then I was like, okay, here, mom, step right there real quick, hold the trigger. And I saw that green hose just close shut. And I was like, okay, so I need to get braided hoses now. And that's when I upgraded to braided hoses. But I mean, that was the only thing that caught me off guard was using one of them cheap little green hoses from like Lowe's.
Yeah. Yeah, just as you say that, it's made me realize I'm not going to say I've never seen one of these posts, but in industry groups, it's not super common to see people come in and ask a question like, hey, I'm new. What are the biggest mistakes that I can avoid? They're normally like, oh, hey, I'm new. Like, how do I get customers? Or, that sort of thing. Like, hey, I'm new. How do I price this job? But I feel like that's a really good question to like, 'cause obviously, if you go into the group, you're going to see mistakes that people have made. So you can kind of learn from it that way. But also just asking those kinds of questions whenever you want to try something new. And I think industry groups are a really great place for that sort of information and the technical side of the job and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I try to learn from other people's mistakes for sure. The best way to go about it. So with the brand rep stuff, how did that come about? How did that even come onto your radar at all? And then how did that progress to the point where I can't even remember the name of the second company that you mentioned. So Tucker and the other one, which I think was some Softwash products. But like, how did that come about? And what made you decide that, hey, yep, this is something that I want to do?
So it was in my first year. It was maybe about 8 months in or something. And at that point, I did offer window cleaning. I just used some traditional gear that I found at Lowe's and Home Depot, and it did the job. Um, so I offered window cleaning, and I was like, okay, there's got to be a better way instead of getting on a ladder on this 2-story home or having to walk across these shingles to get to these dormers. So let me do some research, and I came across water fed pole technology, and I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. So I looked at all the brands, and the one that really stuck out to me was Tucker because they were the most established, long running water fed pole brand in the industry. And I've seen nothing but great reviews. When I talked to customer service reps, they were awesome. And then I actually bought my first pole system. It was a DI kit, and it came with the Bravo pole, and I bought it from the Power Wash store. It might have been a different name, but it was from one of their dealers. I bought it while it was on sale, and ever since then, I haven't looked back. I would do, house soft wash, and I would bundle in an exterior window clean. And if they like, I can also throw in interior window cleaning too. Sometimes people will say, oh, I can reach the inside windows, so just do the outside windows for me. And then I was getting a lot of upsells using Tucker's equipment. And then from there, I stepped off and got bigger and better equipment from Tucker. And every time I interacted with them or their team, it was just a very healthy community. And I really liked the culture that they cultivated. So it was really nice to be interacting with the people at Tucker. So I saw that they had an opening for brand ambassador. I already had their equipment. I've been using it for a while. I liked the people, so I went ahead and applied for it and just, was like, okay, well, if I hear back, I hear back. If I don't, I don't. And I remember I was driving down to Panama City Beach, Florida. We're having a little family vacation, and we stopped at a gas station. I got a notification saying, "Congratulations, you've been accepted as a brand ambassador for Tucker." And I was just so excited, and it made that vacation so much better. Because while I was looking for seashells in the sand with my kids, hanging out with my wife and mom, everybody, it was just like, okay, well, in the back of my mind when I get back, I got lots of great ideas, and I can't wait. They gave me the opportunity, and I'm going to give them everything I can to just like make sure their products are seen in a great light. And when I got back, I just started making funny skits and whatnot. And again, I kept getting sales. So while I was there doing the window cleaning, I was like, well, I'm an ambassador now. So I'll turn around and, have, my wife take a picture of me holding the pole, or I'd get a video of me using the pole. So I started getting more content on the job. And then, after a while of me being a brand ambassador, they offered for me to become a sales rep, and they flew me out to Denver, Colorado. I got a rental and drove down to Castle Rock, Colorado, which is where Tucker HQ is located. Got to meet their great team in person. Got to have a tour of their warehouse, and I got to put my hands on all of the great equipment that they produce. So it was really cool, and everything became official since then. And I came back and just kept to the grindstone. And then as for Cigar City Soft Wash Supply, they're out of Florida, and they sell anything from window cleaning products to pressure washing products to soft washing products, and I'm talking about like equipment. So if you need a hot water pressure washer, cold water pressure washer, you need hoses, fittings, you need filtration systems, whatever you need, they got. And they sell chemicals as well for soft washing purposes. But I came across them because I was looking to use new chemicals because I just wanted to test the market, and see what was out there. And I came across there, and again, same thing as Tucker. Great customer service. They were super nice and friendly, very helpful. The prices were great. And then I saw the same thing. They're open to a brand ambassador program, and I was like, well, I did this with Tucker, and it went really well. So let me try it with Cigar City Soft Wash Supply. And I applied and got accepted pretty quick. And then now I'm a brand representative or a brand ambassador of Cigar City Soft Wash Supply. So.
Yeah, love it, love it. So I have seen some of your stuff, your content, and it's great. It's hilarious. You just put a lot of personality in it. There's one where you've got a photo of you like water-fed pole cleaning the Eiffel Tower. You've got a few like reels that you've stitched in with like things from like a movie, and then it's just you like the Boab or whatever, that kind of stuff. And it's obvious that you're having fun with it, right? But the benefit of that, I think, is it allows you to really put something out there for people to either like or not like. And, they say like people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So people are getting that from you. They're getting enough like personality from what you're putting out to sort of make that decision. How have you found the impact of taking on their brand stuff into your social media? Has it caused you, has it prompted you to put out more content? And what has been the impact on how people are then showing up to your business as customers because they're seeing all of that content?
Yeah, great question, Mark. I mean, I'd say that me going into Tucker as a brand ambassador initially, it definitely was the catalyst to me putting myself out there more because I had something to cling on to, and I knew that they had a healthy community. I knew that the people, the owners, everybody were really fantastic people, and I know that they wouldn't, diss me or judge me for being who I am. So it made me feel confident to put those posts out there. And then once I saw people were laughing at it and thought it was actually funny and relatable, and people were actually giving positive feedback, that's when I was like, okay, I could do more of this. And then just like you said, customers that are in my area and I service their properties, whether it be old customers I've had since the very beginning or brand new customers that I'm trying to sell the very first service to, I've had a lot of people reference those pictures and videos, and they laugh and just, it's an instant icebreaker
Mm.
because instead of showing up and all they have for me is before and after photos or some satisfying transformation videos, they actually have something to laugh about. And just like you said, people want to do business with people that they know, trust, or relate to. And I mean, from there on, it's just word of mouth has gotten me a ton of sales. But again, those old customers, they like my content, these new customers like the content. And it just, when you show up to somebody's door and they're already talking about your content, it makes it a lot easier to just like take a breath, take a deep exhale and get that sale, because again, it's like talking to a buddy at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So the other day I put a post up in our Facebook group for parents running cleaning businesses, which, dear listener, if you have not joined the Facebook group for parents running cleaning businesses and you're a parent running a cleaning business, then you should probably join the group for parents running cleaning businesses because it's pretty much perfect for someone that's your size and shape. But I put up a post about social media, and I called it, I said it's not called Squeegee Book. right? It's called Facebook. And what you just said then, if someone can't develop that know, like, and trust from before and afters of a window, they don't have that social connection to a product result. They see that. It's not wrong for them to see that, but it's so much more impactful when we turn the camera around and they can see the face of the person that did the thing, or just like having the before and after with the photo including you in it as well, so that they can see, okay, there's a great result, and it was this guy that got the great result. And then, as you say, like when you're then turning up, they already have that connection with you. You're like 5 Mile famous. They've booked in with you. You're meeting them for the first time, but they have this like kind of connection. Like they know a little bit about the personality and everything. What has been, because you mentioned when we were talking before that one of the challenges that you had was probably mainly prior to all of this, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, was filtering for the right customers. So what's been the effect with this? How has that helped in getting just the right customers in for your business that's a good fit?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this has been a long-term, roadblock, but I mean, we've gotten over it, with time and effort. But weeding through these customers that really don't respect what we're doing in the industry, whether you're a window cleaner, you're a pressure washer, soft washer, you're going to run into those customers that they're going to have that I could do it myself mentality. And most times, whenever that you encounter one of those customers, they're not going to want to pay you what you're worth. So you're going to be racing towards the bottom of the barrel with everybody else in your area. So you're going to be working below what you actually want to work for. So the biggest, thing is trying to get through those customers. And by putting out videos and being yourself, being authentically you and having fun with the content, you're going to find people that are really going to, you know, you're going to attract those like-minded individuals, those same people. They're going to want to invite people that are similar to them onto their property to clean their property, because a lot of people aren't comfortable with having strangers on their property. So if people get to see a glimpse of your personality, they'll be glad to open up their doors to you, let you in, and clean their property. And sometimes people, when they see your work, but then they also see your personality, they'll go ahead and pay you what you're worth. But you got to find those people that do respect the work you're doing. But the thing is, if you do bad work, you're going to get bad pay. If you do good work, you're going to get good pay. So just make sure you keep up with the quality of your work, but don't forget to keep up with the quality of your customers. Because again, you can have $1,100,000 driveways, your equipment's going to fail, you're going to get burnt out, and people are not going to respect you. So you're not going to feel justified in what you're doing, which is going to just drop, your morality. Um, but if you find those couple of customers that really do care about their property and do care about what you're doing and they respect what you're doing and they understand that it takes a special kind of person to do what, you're doing, and you're doing good work, then you'll have a lifelong customer. And then whenever they pass away or they sell their house, they're going to refer you to their kids. And then forever and ever and ever, you're going to have people that respect what you do. They're going to respect your industry and they're going to respect your price.
Yeah. I think within that, like the brand partnership is a really powerful form of borrowed authority, where you're in your marketing to your customers, like they're going to see this, and whether you say this overtly or not, but like, we are the only company that is, partnered with whatever in whatever the range is, like whether it's in your city, whether it's in your state. But like we are the go-to for this other big, thing. And they're not going to be familiar, like a homeowner is not going to be familiar with, Tucker as a brand. But then when they see it, they instantly understand, oh, okay, like that's legit. And so obviously then your authority rises with that, because it's like, okay, this is somebody who has a professional angle within the industry. Like this is somebody who's industry respected. It's sort of like somebody who is running industry events or runs training in an industry or anything like that. The authority that gives them with their own business and their own customers is huge. And I think that this is a really good low barrier to entry way to kind of get some of that borrowed authority, because you don't have to be doing one of those like crazy large massive things. You can just be a direct partner or brand representative or whatever, and have some of that borrowed authority coming in. The other thing that you said was about I can't remember how you put this, but the mental note that I took was basically about being more of you online. And I think that's what's so great about a lot of the content that you put out there is just, you're just having fun with it and putting your personality out there. And I see a lot of people with their social media presence and their business specifically, they tend to feel constrained, like they just have to be like this sort of bland, vanilla, corporate, boring, whatever. And it doesn't give customers that thing to grab onto to decide that they know, like, and trust it or not. Whereas when you put yourself into it, some people are going to like you and some people are going to not like you. And the ones that don't like you, they can make that decision early and they can sort of self-filter out. So the ones that do like you are the ones that are then going to go on and do business with you. So with that, like, what percentage of the jobs that you're going to right now would you say are familiar with the stuff like that you've put out there online before you even get to the job?
So again, I know right now we do a lot of annual service cleaning. We do a lot of work with repeat customers.
Mm.
And by now they all know that I do content creation and they've seen my content, they follow my content and they respect it and they think it's funny. And have them message me sometimes and say, "Hey, that was a good one," or whatever. Um and then with the new customers, it's like I'd say maybe like 20% no. And then, I kind of, just like you said, it is great sales point being able, like, I'm also a sales rep with Tucker. I'm a brand ambassador for a Cigar City Soft Wash Supply, and it makes you sound even more legitimate.
Mm.
It makes you sound like, again, you have a hand up in the industry and that you're an expert in what you do. So people become very familiarized because out of curiosity, it's human nature to become curious of things. They're not going to know Cigar City. They're not going to know Tucker, but they're going to take the time to look it up and say, just like you said a minute ago, oh, that's a legitimate established business, and they've been around for a long time, and a lot of people go to these companies for what they need in their industry, and this guy is partnered up with these companies. That's huge. So it
Mm.
does make the sale even better, even better. So having those connections are very meaningful even for new customers, but I would say overall new and old customers, I'd say at least 80%. I could comfortably say 80% know that I do content creation, and I'd say at least 70%, maybe 75% really enjoy what I do.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I love that. Oh, about 3 and 4 people actually like it, but most of them know about it, and that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think with that, one of the things I think that, and this is why I wanted to have this conversation, was because I think that a lot of people would sort of see this, if the opportunity for something like this presented itself, they might feel a bit weird about it, and they might feel like it's going to be like this conflict between the branding, the messaging that they're putting out to their customers, and then this other branding and messaging they're putting out on behalf of another company to different customers, right? Because you're, as a brand ambassador, as a sales rep, whatever, your messaging then is to other people in the industry, whereas obviously your customers are the homeowners and so forth in your town. And so it can kind of feel like that conflict of interest. Is this going to work? And yeah, I think, I mean, you can speak to this, but it seems like a really good match for all of the reasons that we've just discussed. Did you have any weird feelings about that? Have you found there to be any like disconnect with that? That is a great question, if I don't say so myself. Can't wait to hear the answer in like 14 seconds from now. Just wanted to jump in and let you know about the free time audit designed specifically to save 5 hours per week for parents running cleaning businesses. It takes about 2 minutes to complete, and you get your time-saving results straight away. To get your free time audit, join our Facebook group via warplan.au, link in the description. Now, what was that cliffhanger question again? Did you have any weird feelings about that? Have you found there to be any like disconnect with that?
I mean, I could definitely see where people could be appalled to the idea of having to represent another brand or put another brand almost above their own to a degree. But here's the thing: whenever you are pushing a brand and you're doing it because you're passionate about their equipment or about something, again, it's going to really bring out that personality, which at the end of the day is going to make your business look good. Because I could sell any services in the world to anybody. I could wear any uniform I want to anybody. But what sets me apart is what can Cole do? Who is Cole? You're almost like selling yourself at the job site, right? Because anybody can pressure wash, anybody can window clean, anybody can soft wash, but the thing is, Cole does a good job. Cole is funny with what he does. Cole is dedicated, and loyal to a brand. So it makes me look like a better business owner. It makes me look like a hard worker because I'm having to juggle all these things. I'm somehow managing to pull it off. So whenever I see it locally, customers tend to respect that. They respect somebody with hard work ethic. People respect people that aren't afraid to be themselves and take
Mm,
criticism on the chin.
mm.
And people are going to respect, people that are putting out there what they're passionate about. Because again, I'm just passionate about Tucker's products and it's just pushed me in a very far way. It was never about like I got into Tucker because I wanted to make the most money or sell this or sell that. I got in because I like the community and the culture. Same thing with Cigar City, and it worked out really good because, like you said, I can talk to people in the window cleaning industry. I can talk to people in the soft wash and pressure washing industry. I can help guide both industries towards products and equipment that I support and that I trust personally. And then also at the same time, I can still don my uniform and be myself. And at the end of the day, even though I'm marketing three businesses, I'm able to showcase my personality in all three. So no matter what I'm pushing out there, it's going to benefit me in some way or another. And again, local customers, like you said, they want to get somebody that they can relate to or somebody that is almost like familiar. Because, like you said, whenever you show up to an estimate, to them, it feels like they already know you to a
Yeah.
degree. But again, we never spoken once, or we might have spoken on the phone to line up the estimate. But because they're able to see these videos, they're like, okay, he's a down to earth dude, or he's funny. He's not
Mm.
gonna be this big burly intimidator, or like super cold stone businessman. Like, okay, I can actually cut loose and joke around with this guy. He's gonna have a good time with me, and it makes it really easy.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I feel like just coming back to something that you'd said previously about the camera, again, how you put this, but like basically the how comfortable customers are with you in the home, like for like, interior window cleaning, that kind of a thing. I think that's something that it's easy to kind of take for granted or forget about in a lot of ways. But like really, as soon, like probably any home service is pretty intimate to some degree, but as soon as you step inside the home, it's a very intimate service, and cleaning is like so intimate. Whether it's window cleaning or whether it's like, say you're vacuuming someone's house, you're going around and you're picking up all of their like skin particles off the floor in every room of their house. Like when you're window cleaning, you're going through every single room in their house to clean the windows. So that know, like, and trust factor, the fact that you're coming in ahead of time and people are knowing you is a huge advantage. And again, that's one of the main things that really prompted me to have this conversation is you're you're threading the needle of alignment between those sort of three brands that you're representing, including your own, so that it doesn't feel forced because you're just like putting you out there. And it's just, these are some things that I'm talking about because I'm passionate about all three things. And then when people see that ahead of you coming to give them the quote, they already feel like they have that know, like, and trust. And so, there's almost no competition with like company B, because unless they have that same level with the next person that comes along where they're also really familiar with their stuff, the price and other little specific things are going to be so much less impactful than the fact that they are already so much more comfortable having you there. Like they're going to sort of view you as somebody that they know, even though you don't know them, and all that kind of a thing. So just with regards to, because like, again, people should go and check out your content because it is hilarious. It's great. You have a natural talent for really original takes as well, of just like some of the hooks that you're using and stuff. It's really good. But for somebody who might be struggling with that kind of a thing, for somebody who's not maybe such a social media native, they don't feel like that's them, or they're kind of worried about putting themselves out there. What are some tips that you could give on maybe like getting past that, the pros over the cons, and even just like the formulation of the content and how to make that beneficial for someone else's business so that they can get that same, this customer is more familiar with me when I'm showing up for the quote?
So if you're in a service-based business or any sort of business really, if you want to kind of like walk the line a little bit, you can have a business page where you can keep it, before and after pictures, or hey, check out this new menu item we're adding to the menu or whatever, right? And you could do, any promotional posts or whatever in regards to just your business. And you can kind of slip in there that personality, like the skits that do really good on your personal account. Then you can upload it again to the business account because you know that it's going to have decent traction most times. So you can kind of pick and choose your best content to go on there. So if a customer only knows, let's say I'm gonna use me for an example, Wild Pressure Washing. If they only know Wild Pressure Washing for Wild Pressure Washing, they don't know the owner's Cole Blakey or anything, then what they're gonna do is that's what they're gonna associate it. So seeing the actual professional work as well as seeing some of the personal content, it does help paint a picture for them. And then also you can tag your own personal account, and then if they want to learn more about you on that funny video you upload, then they can go to your personal account, and that's how they kind of work in. Oh, okay, Cole Blakey's the owner. That's why he's over here joking around like this. And then for your personal account, that's where you can put all your, whatever's in your head. You just want to put it out there. Whatever you're passionate about, you can put it out there. Just so you can have some clear distinction. You're not like blurring the lines. That's one thing that you could do. Another thing I would recommend is be yourself and don't try to like follow these fad trends or be someone you're not,
Most
because at
business
the end of the
advice
day,
ignores your
everything in the
family.
dark comes to the
This
light. If you're a
podcast
faker,
doesn't.
people don't like
Welcome
fakers, and
to
they're just going to
family-oriented
pick up on it
business
pretty
growers.
quick. And then the last thing is, if you're uncomfortable, whether it be with your appearance, with your voice, or just with your overall editing style or whatever, just accept who you are and put it out there. And over time, you'll just, as you're editing the video, you'll get used to your voice, you'll get used to how you look, you'll get better with your editing. And then if people criticize you, then they were never going to be, your client to begin with, or they were never going to be your friend to begin with. So again, they're kind of like self-eliminating, like you mentioned earlier. So they're almost doing you a favor putting themselves out there like that. So if you feel uncomfortable, just throw yourself out there, go in the deep into the water, and I promise you, you'll come out the other side just fine. Because in the beginning, I did not like how my voice sounded, but the more I kept editing videos, I was like, okay, I can't change how my voice sounds, and I got used to it. It took a while, but I got used to it.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the big advantages with that as well is that the point of this kind of content and trying to get in front of customers and whatever is to be seen and to get engagement and whatever. So if it fails, that means no one saw it. So if you put out a piece of content that is just terrible, it's like, oh, like 100 people kind of saw it, but they all like watched like the first 1.5 seconds and then they scrolled right past it. So it gives you that freedom to fail if you're like self-conscious and worried about a piece of content and all that kind of thing. It's really hard to get attention actually online. It's really hard to get that local attention because your customers are not hanging around on social media waiting to see something from a cleaning company. So you're trying to get their attention, and if you're putting out content that's not very good, you're probably not going to be seen, which is it's not achieving the goal, but it just means that it gives you the opportunity to get the reps in, like you were just saying. You'll get better if you just do it consistently. As you do it consistently, the algorithm will start to kind of favor that a little bit as well because it's seeing the consistency, all of that kind of thing. And then by the time you are getting the attention, it's for content that you probably wouldn't have been capable of doing at the start because now you're just like that little bit better and a little bit improved, but it just requires you to kind of put yourself out there and start. With regards to like, again, the three brands thing that you've got going on, and I like how you've described like what you're doing on the personal, what you're doing on the business. I don't think I've even really checked out the business, to be honest, like the business page separately. I was only kind of familiar with what I'd seen on your personal page. But when your customers find you online, are they typically coming in, like as in specifically on social media, are they typically finding the business page first, or is it kind of like 50-50 of who finds the personal page?
Well, generally, I would say they find the business page first because, we have a website, we're on Google, and most times people that are trying to do research on a business, we have the business accounts linked to our website and our Google. So they're going to end up going to the business page first and foremost. And then they're going to see the pinned posts. They're going to see, you know, that we're family owned and operated, free estimates, licensed insured, where we're located. They're going to get a lot of information very quickly, and they're going to be able to decipher within 10 seconds the type of quality of work we do because we have it pinned right there. So people can, within one click, decipher whether or not we do adequate work and we're an actual professional business. We're not just some weekend warriors. And then from there, that's when, if they actually start scrolling, that's when they'll see a funny clip or something on our story that's posted, and they'll say, okay, let me check out this guy. And then that's when that certain percentage that I know was really scrolling through our business page, that's how those find me. And then most times they turn out to be customers, and I go close the deal, or I see them and I'm like, oh, that's one of my repetitive customers. But gotta scroll a little bit, you gotta dig a little bit, unless you're just like right time, right place situation. Like I just uploaded a funny clip onto our business page. But for the most part, most people are kind of digging through our business page, and that's how I know when they find me, I'm like, okay, they were going through our business page. And so it gives
Yeah.
me direction of like where did they come from. And most times I'll message them, see how they're doing and stuff, and then they're like, I'm like, you came to our business page. Did you come to like Google or a website? And then now I can figure out what's working.
Yeah. No, love it. Love it. And any sort of final closing thoughts from your end of just takeaways from that and maybe encouragement for somebody who's feeling maybe more like a social media introvert?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're getting into this industry or you've been in this industry for the longest time, it doesn't matter, right? We're all just trying to learn. We're all just trying to grow. We're all going in the same direction. And I mean, we're all chasing the same goal. So the biggest thing is let's not make this community toxic. Let's all try to help uplift each other. And the biggest thing is if you're a social media introvert, really just don't care about what people say. Whatever ideas that come to mind and they make you smile or laugh, write them down as they come and then refine them later. And then from there, you can create an actual script or some sort of guideline and you can record it, edit it, and then put it out there. Just throw stuff at the wall. And the worst case scenario is you get no views and it was a total flop. But the good thing is, if it wasn't a good video and it flopped, nobody saw it. So you can try to get it on the next one, but just throw everything you got at the wall, but make sure it's good quality content that you're happy with. You don't have to follow these trends. You don't have to try to be like influencer A, B, or C. Be yourself because people are going to love who you are.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Thanks very much for jumping on, Cole. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this conversation, you'll love our Facebook group for parents running cleaning businesses. Easiest way to find it is via warplan.au. Catch you in there.